Hello, we are back for another action-packed, exciting episode of Cooking with Steve. This is a special episode, update alert. Wah, wah, wah. Typhoon, super typhoon alert. We are going to bunker down here and prepare. We want to just give everybody an update here. That really helps with the lighting. I look good in a typhoon. We want to give everybody an update on the typhoon. It's important to stay safe. Um, and the typhoon here, called a hurricane in other parts of the world, um, it's a typhoon, and then it could become a super typhoon if it becomes stronger, as opposed to a category 1 through 5. It's a typhoon for some amount of time, and then it becomes a super typhoon if it gets stronger. This is not predicted to become a super typhoon, but it could be. So we're prepared. Kitty even bought an umbrella, or excuse me, a raincoat. Um, if her daddy used a raincoat, she wouldn't be here. Oh, ooh, shouldn't say that. That's not affirming. I should be more affirming. And speaking of affirming, we are under blue alert. There's a color-coded rainbow alert for storms and just, I think, any calamity. And I don't really know what blue means. Blue would be pretty like nothing's going on, but this is not an extreme storm, but it's potential. So blue, I don't know, just like rainbow alert, just any color, pick a color. This particular storm is named Tino, and nice, to make things less confusing. The storm has another name. I don't recall what it was, but when it enters the Philippine area of responsibility, I'm going to put the umbrella down. I will keep it handy. It's about ready to break. I think it costs $1. When a storm enters the Philippine area of responsibility, which is a imaginary line about 200 miles, 320 kilometers for you people that don't know what mileage is. It just changes names randomly, and then they change the categories, just so it's not confusing. And then the rest of the world stops tracking it because it's in the Philippine area of responsibility, and the Philippine tracking is not always that comprehensive, shall we say. And we've got different cones, different models. Every one that I've seen is 12 hours old by the time I'm able to find it. So I was here during Odette, which was a fairly bad storm. It was probably a category 3, which category 3 here is like a category 4 or 5 in a place where they have infrastructure that was built to a standard. So it was pretty devastating. Power was out in my building for almost a month. That was mostly due to incompetence. But we have generators, so until they ran out of fuel, the generator worked fine. But lost my train of thought. Okay, so blue alert, typhoon, heading directly to Cebu. Then I'm prepared. Kitty got a raincoat. Probably the first member of her family to use a raincoat. We just don't know what's going to happen because of global warming, Donald Trump, probably you people that are driving SUVs, you're responsible for 1 or 2 miles per hour of the storm. So we'll just see how bad it gets. But we are going to be here to keep. We won't be able to get reports from the outer islands that are hit first because they're going to lose power and communication. These are referred to as calamity. There's like a department of calamity that will step into action after the storm to help bring in supplies. And the real calamity is when they get into action. It's kind of like FEMA, but even more Three Stooges like. They just go around in circles. It's every man for themselves, every person for themselves. And I do know, actually, I know somebody that works for FEMA in the U.S., and FEMA is a multi-billion-dollar organization that has just massive fixed overhead infrastructure. And when there's a storm, they send FEMA representatives to the area. And basically, the price of prostitutes goes up like by 150%. And Walmart, Home Depot, Waffle House deliver 99.8% of the aid, and FEMA usually brings in just like penicillin and most that's for their own use. But here it's done got a similar fashion with a lower budget. So at least they're not blowing the money on it. But we're not expecting things that are bad. I have stocked up. I've got food. I loaded up on some extra medication just because you can't be too safe. And I remember the last typhoon, I thought 3 weeks worth of medication, and I burned through my medication in like 4 days. I don't remember where that went, but made it. I did evacuate the area after the power. There's a generator in my building, big Caterpillar generators, which are great, world's best generators, right up until they ran out of fuel after 4 days because the tanks were empty. And so I abandoned ship. And like I say, my power was out here for almost a month. I went up to Bantayan, which is a nice little island up to the north. No problems there. I came back. Power was still off, and I'm like, and the power, there's like everything around us had power, and I'm looking around. There's a big mall downstairs, grocery store. There was no shortage of fuel, so they're just running the generators. I look out in the street, and there's 3 wires that go to my building. It's a big building, like 400 units, and I notice one of them is just hanging, like a 3-foot connector wire that goes from the main line. I'm like, oh, that looks like maybe a breaker type thing that popped during the storm, and it's just hanging there. And so me and another guy flagged down a truck and paid the guy a couple thousand pesos to hook it up, and power was back on. The manager, none of the employees even thought of even looking out at where the situation was. So yeah, typical, every man for themselves. And so I intend to step up into action, have a plan for action, to take control, protect myself, and then, if possible, help others. Anybody needs some medication, you can come on by for the storm, and we can take medication together. It'd be like a party, but all serious. And okay, well, and we are going to maintain connection here. Special show today. We'll be running 24 hours a day, or as close to it as we can, once the storm runs, and we'll go as long as the internet holds up, which I'm expecting the internet to drop off about 15, 20 minutes before the wind kicks up. It's just kind of how it goes. And it could go out anytime. But we are keeping an eye on things in the U.S. There's an election. New York City, they're trying to elect a communist, an Indian communist, not just an Indian communist, but a Indian Muslim billionaire communist. You know that's going to work out well. Friend of Bernie Sanders. And so this guy's got a real good business head on his shoulders. He wants to have New York build some grocery stores. Yeah, that's going to work. Grocery store, very simple business. Very simple. I mean, I'm sure city workers in New York could manage that. No problem. No problem. How hard is that? You buy some food and you sell it. And he also wants to, I think, kill all the rich people and melt them down into fuel to make electricity. Now, there won't be that many rich people left in New York because anybody with money can leave and will leave, and a lot of them already have. But they're going to find that out again. But yeah, maybe this time when the socialism, it's been tried before and hasn't worked, but it's because they haven't done it the right way. They haven't done it strong enough. So this guy here, he's a billionaire. He can probably do it. He might be able to figure it out. And then it'll all just be nirvana. We can all go to New York. It'll all be free food from the grocery stores. And no crime, because why would you steal something when you can get it for free? And nobody will be sick because they'll all have health care. And even Kitty could probably vote there. They won't ask, are you a citizen of New York or the U.S. or are you even a human? They would just say, oh, that's a nice raincoat. Here's the voter ID card. Do you need an Uber ride or a free phone? All right, that's going to be it. I want to save some of my energy to update you during the storm. I have inventoried, and I will re-inventory my food and my medication. Make sure I have enough. I did get some extra water, as I mentioned. And we're just hoping for the best, and we're planning for the worst. That's what you do. You hope for the best, and plan for the worst, and then you make the best of it. We will see you shortly. And welcome back to Cooking with Steve. We have an update, special edition. Earthquake, not earthquake, excuse me. Uh, Tropical depression warning. Tsunami, not tsunami. I probably should have written some of this down. Storm, they call it a hurricane. In all the rest of the world, we're just going to refer to it as a hurricane. It's a storm known as a hurricane for anybody that owns something that can be destroyed that can't just be rebuilt with bamboo. Um, but it's a tropical depression, also known as a. Well, I'll put that. I might have to just redo this whole thing. Cut.